Nah, that's smooth, y'all. What you have planned for the weekend, for the rest of the week?
What do I have planned? I am gonna finish shooting a film tonight that I wrote. But it's set at night, so I need to wait till the sun goes down. So
how much?
Working on that.
Okay. How much do y'all have left as far as to shoot?
So we did. It's basically a phone call. So we did my side of the phone call, and now my partner Cecil, we need to get his footage. So we're probably gonna do like a tight shot, a wide, over the shoulder. You know, it seems simple, but it's very tedious, especially when we're doing it together because we're quarantined. So, and I'm not a this is my first time making a film, so yeah, I'll be like, bear with me while I try to get this shot.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. Wow. Does it, how long do you think it's going to be? Because short film can be what? Anywhere from like 4 minutes to
20, probably. It's not going to be long. It's going to be made for social media. So it's going to be about 5 minutes. But we basically said if we're going to do it, we want to do it right. You know, we don't want to, because I was initially thinking of something very simple to do that I could do with my phone, but we have all the equipment, so we just decided to really get in there and do it. But the editing is going to be probably going to take the rest of the week. It probably won't be out till next week. But unfortunately, these things are going to keep happening. So I was inspired by George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. So there's also no rush because we know that it's not over yet. So
yeah, this is definitely going to be, unfortunately, it has been so far a long fight, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. Well, welcome everyone. We do have some on-timers today. That's super, super awesome. I'm going to give it, usually like to give it like 3 to 5 minutes for everyone to still kind of filter in. So if you guys would like to use this time to unmute your camera or unmute your mic, tell Renika hello or myself, yeah, please do so during this time.
Oh, look who's here.
Hey, Renika.
Hi, Kiara.
I won't turn my screen on. I still got my scarf on, but hi.
So, and who is Kiara? Kiara, you in New York?
No, I'm in Columbus. I grew up with Renika.
Okay, so
that's
you're
my sister.
Nice. Nice. From Dayton originally?
Yeah, I'm originally from Dayton. Right now I live in Columbus for my graduate school program.
Oh, cool. What are you taking up?
I'm in PA school, physician assistant. So once I'm done, I was supposed to graduate in August, but it'll probably be more like December just because of COVID and everything. So in the medical field.
Man, I super need it.
Thanks, it is.
Super need
anytime I need medical advice, I'll talk to you. She's like, you know, I'm still in school, right? I'm like, yeah, but I'm hurting right here.
I'm gonna need you to check that out, huh?
Right.
That's cool. Oh, that's probably why, huh? Download the latest version of Zoom. Huh. Cool beans. Cool beans. Renika, is it hot there?
Not today. Today is like 71. But it was hot last week. It was like 85. It's really humid. Yeah. How's it there?
It's okay. It was pretty warm. It was this period when I was cutting the grass where it was just like dry heat. It was just hot.
Dry is better than humid though.
That's what they say, right? I don't know. For Ohio, it was just kind of, I guess, new. Because we usually have, the most humid. So for it to be dry, I was just like, yeah, this is different.
Yeah. One thing that people don't really know about New York is that New York gets really humid. And also a lot of buildings in New York City don't have central air because residential like buildings, like apartments and brownstones and stuff, because they're so old. So like summers here are like very painful because you may have like your, AC unit in the window, but it'll be really hot.
Can't imagine.
I feel like summer camp.
Oh, wow. So you probably have to take like multiple showers a day, I'm sure.
You just gotta sit still, you just gotta sit there. Like the things that I feel like are normal at home are luxuries here. Like it's very weird. Like it's normal to have an apartment with a washer and dryer, right? That's normal now. Like it's not normal here. Like if you have a washer and dryer, like that's a luxury.
Man, because it's so many people though there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. Okay. Hey mom, my mom just joined. It's pretty cool.
Hey.
Well, it's now 7:05. I believe we can probably get started. So first, Renika, if you would just like to just give a brief introduction as far as like your background, Trotwood, Wright State, New York, who you are and how you got here.
Okay. I'm Renika Williams. I am originally from Dayton, Ohio. Grew up in Trotwood. I went to Stivers Middle School. Then I went to Trotwood, then Wright State. Then I spent a year in Cincinnati studying. I went to Wright State for acting. I got a BFA in acting. And then I went to train with Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park for a year as an apprentice. And I did 6 productions with them. And then what inspired me to move to New York, because I never wanted to live here. I thought I was going to be in Chicago. I actually got picked for the ABC Network Discovers program, I think summer 2016. I like went through all the rounds, but I wasn't picked at the end. But like some people that like were discovered were like Jesse Williams, like did that program, and Lupita did it, I believe, and Gina Rodriguez. But I got really close, and the head of casting at ABC pulled me aside, and she was like, I know you've been taking the bus to and from Ohio every week, but I think that you should move here. So I sold my car, and I moved here on my mom's birthday in 2016. And yeah, I've been here ever since.
What? I don't feel like I knew that. I briefly remember you putting that story on social media, so I kind of remember the selling the car part, but obviously not the weeds of it. So that's like deep, That's almost like I play sports. That's like an athlete, I guess, going you don't have a full scholarship, but you going, you know, because you believe in yourself at that point. Like, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It was definitely a leap of faith because at Wright State, one of our final projects that we had to do was like research the market that we wanted to work in. So I like did this whole like basically thesis on Chicago. Like I researched the neighborhoods in Chicago, the theaters in Chicago, the like the agencies, the talent agencies, the film production companies. Like I was prepared to move there, and then God was like, nah. So it was definitely a leap of faith.
Wow. And what may have been like, I don't know, what kind of led you, all right, so did you pivot your research and then begin going to learn like the New York market before Chicago, or was it like just a feeling in your gut to where I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do this?
It was a little bit of both. So I was like talking about it with some like mentors. So like I said, I did that apprenticeship at Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park. And, you know, so just to like over explain for people who don't know theater, any theater outside of New York is considered regional theater. So Cincinnati Playhouse is a major regional theater. And you here in New York, I auditioned to work in Seattle, to work in LA, to work at these big hubs for theater. And so I was an apprentice there, and I was understudying roles, doing small roles, teaching in the school system, teaching like theater workshops. And they would fly, you know, New York actors to come do their productions of To Kill a Mockingbird or A Christmas Carol or whatever they were doing that year. And I would get to know them and basically ask them questions about New York City. And all of them were like, yeah, you should move to the city. And they would start teaching me about it, telling me things about like the market here, but also being real with, you know, like how difficult it is. But that decision was ultimately like made over the summer when Marcy Phillips from ABC Network was like, you should consider moving here. And then that's when I was like, I should really start praying about this, because she's not the first person to tell me that. Even getting chosen for the ABC Showcase program was a big deal. Like it came out of nowhere. Like I submitted my headshot and like they picked me, and then I had to like take this crazy bus to New York, this dangerous bus called the Chinatown bus. No lie, like this bus was like really ratchet, really dirty, and I thought I was like not gonna be alive at the end of it, but it cost like $60 and I needed to get there. But you like do a scene, and I just kept getting pushed through to the next like round. And I did like 4 rounds. With? Oh, thousands of people submit every year. And so the fact that I even got to go, like got chosen, and I kept going through, and I like made it to the final round, but I didn't get it. And I was like really heartbroken. Like I like cried really hard. But then I was like, no, I'm still gonna move here. You know, I'm still gonna do it. And then I moved here, and 4 days after I moved here, I booked my first Off-Broadway production at the National Black Theater, which the National Black Theater, like I believe that job really pushed me forward. Historically, to even work there, like with the history there, it's our theater, it's in Harlem. And everyone that I met my first year here is because of that show, because Black influential people like in my community, in the theater community here, came to see that production. And it was really the start. And I did that 4 days after I decided to move here. So that was a big deal.
Wow. That's huge. And that was a Black person that was at ABC that kind of gave you the nod, or?
No.
Gotcha. But it was
the Black Theater Company. The Black Theater Company was my first professional show here after I moved here. Yeah.
Dope. Maybe touching on a little bit to that note, how has the arts kind of led or inspired you during these times, or why do you think we kind of look to the arts during this time, with the George Floyd situation and rioting, and just this has been going on for a while,
Yeah.
somewhat of a little bit what we spoke to of just like previously, people, or have you been in, I guess maybe to pivot a little bit, have you been in any plays where you've depicted any tough situations or things that speak to these times?
I'll say that, like, even though the American theater is progressing, now we're on pause right now, so we're basically speaking before the pandemic. But yes, there are more Black playwrights being produced. There are more Black directors being hired. And that means, for me, more Black actors on stage, off-Broadway, and on Broadway. Mind you, Broadway literally just means on Broadway. People think it's like, it means that that is a big theater on Broadway. Now, do they get paid thousands and thousands of dollars more than I do per week? Yeah. But off-Broadway is literally off-Broadway, and it also means a smaller house. So any house under 500 seats is considered off-Broadway. But we're making steps forward. But did I used to wonder if diversity and inclusion was just a trend? Yeah. At any moment, they can decide that they want to stop producing our work. Sometimes I wonder, honest thoughts, sometimes I wonder if it's just making money, because it's hot right now. Like, are you really doing it because you care about hearing my voice or hearing a voice like mine? I've been very fortunate to work on some really dope plays the past 4 years, all mostly by Black women, honestly. But sometimes I'm like, okay, in a whole season, so a theater season tends to be from like September to June. If you choose one Black play in your whole season and the 5 other plays in your season are not, I don't know. I still think that's a problem. Why do we have that one Black slap? You know what I'm saying? When I do regional theater, you asked me, yeah, I remember a time when I worked at Indiana Repertory Theater. I did a play called Pipeline by Dominique Morisseau that is about the school to prison pipeline and how Black and brown students get expelled and suspended more than their white classmates for the same behavior. And while we were there, someone on the street, the theater is like downtown Indianapolis. Someone on the street called us niggers. And it started a whole conversation, that we had to have. And you realize that you're working in these regional theaters. You're being flown, right? You're being flown to these regional theaters across the country. They put you up in a hotel or in their own housing, and you're doing the work, but you don't know what that community really is like. Indiana is a scary place to me. I worked there for 2.5 months, and I did this real play that is about me. It's about people that look like me. And we were in the elevator. My co-star and I were in the elevator after the show, and we just happened to get on the elevator really fast that night. I guess we were trying to make a beeline back to the hotel, and there were some audience members in the elevator, and they were congratulating us, and they said, but the teenagers in the play were so articulate. They just seemed a little too articulate, right, for their age. And I said, why? Because they're Black. I said, Black and brown kids sometimes have to grow up a little bit faster. So our language, we have to learn how to speak and stand up for ourselves. So you may call us grown, but sometimes we have to grow up a little faster because of our circumstances. And like, they were all like, yeah, okay, sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was an incident. And then the last incident, I'll say, last summer at a theater, like, it would like blew up all over the news in Westchester, Pennsylvania. I was doing a show called Mud Road. That was like, the playwright was commissioned to write about a Black neighborhood in Pennsylvania. And there was this night that like this Black organization was in town. They basically bought out all the seats, like it was for them. It was a celebration, and there was a reception after. And their mayor was there, who was not Black, and she had some other non-Black people there with her as guests. And the man basically asked one of my castmates, was she in blackface because she is too light to be a part of an African American family. So like, that was the whole thing. It's basically like, theater is tends to, in my opinion, theater is still a very white experience. It even though African culture, we do rituals and performance, and like, we are movers and we're singers and we come from performing. Theater is still a very European thing that seems to be only for the privileged, right? To see Pipeline was $85. Okay, it's about Black people, but it's not as accessible still. So we're doing the work in rehearsal, and we're opening up, and we're putting our full selves in these characters, and then the first day, it's all it's none of us are in the audience. It can be painful. It could be painful that I'm doing this work. It makes me feel like a teacher, and sometimes I don't want to teach. Sometimes I just want to talk to you because it's for you, it's for us, and it's by us. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to see during this pandemic maybe more of our companies blooming, like the National Black Theater. It's ran by us, you know? Yeah, I may have a Black playwright and a Black director when I go work, and Black castmates, but the staff at the theater, their hometown staff, there's nobody that looks like me most of the time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Gotcha. And that's, man, I guess maybe diverting super fast, not to throw my knowledge in there. But, you know, even like our play, it wasn't nothing crazy, but the fact that, or nothing huge, shall I say, but the fact that like we could sell out, you know, a theater, and we did have, you know, it was all of us who just so happened to be Black. It felt like that type of experience. I guess I wish, or what I long for, hope for, is that we can begin to learn that game. They're like, yo, it's money in like, you know, doing the lights, like, you know, and I'm not sure, of course,
Yeah, that's how I felt like this week. Like I told you before we officially started, like I was inspired to write. And like usually I don't force things, like I'm not, but I was inspired to write. Like I was so numb the past few weeks, just so numb. And when George Floyd was murdered, I was like, I am numb in a way that is not healthy for me. And so I started writing, and I wrote my first short, and we're filming it. And I want to be that type of artist in response to everything going on around me, because I want to be conscious about what I'm putting in the world. Like if we have one shot here, like I want to be an artist activist, basically. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I can finally put on the filmmaker hat. Hopefully we'll release it on social media next week. But yes, am I doing the lights? I am doing the lights as well, and then hopping in there like it's real ratchet. It's crazy. Like this is ground zero what we're doing. We have a real camera, which is dope. Like we have the equipment, but we gotta set it up. Like, okay, so if I gotta lean it against the wall or against the fan, and then jump in, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're doing it. Like, we're really doing it.
That's huge, man. That's huge. I'm excited to see it. You know, definitely excited to see it. We might have to drop a promo clip on Free Hype or something. You know, who knows?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Next question was on a kind of lighter note. When did you know that you wanted to be an actress?
That I wanted to be an. I don't think it was until Cyrus that I knew that it was an actual job. But before that, in like church, you could even ask Kiara, she's here. Like, I would write skits and like, but I would star in them. It's crazy. I was really bossy. Like at school and at church, I would like write these skits and like I would write them so everyone was like acting around me, but like it was about me. And I didn't know it was a job. Like I used to say I wanted to be a doctor, which is laughable. The most I'll do is be on Grey's Anatomy, God willing. Yeah, when I went to Stivers, I think that Mrs. Tomaselli was my first theater teacher. Also only my second Black teacher ever in the 7th grade. And I was like, wait, I can make a career out of this? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh. So yeah, I was like 12 when I knew I really wanted to do it. 11 or 12.
Damn. That's pretty early.
It was really early.
It's pretty early, but I guess early enough. That's pretty sweet. So then, okay, now you know it's a thing. What steps did you take to like make that dream a reality?
Well, I don't want to count out the small steps because the small steps are important. So I had parents who were like really supportive of me, even after I look at my dad. He said, "Right." So even though I didn't want to stay at Cyrus, like I grew up in Trotwood, I wanted to go to school with my brother. I wanted to go to school with my neighborhood friends. I learned that like having supportive parents really did help because I went to classes at the Human Race Theater Company after school throughout high school. I went to classes at Wright State University. They had like acting and voice lessons for high school students in this like very selective program. There's the Dayton Playhouse that I would take classes at and perform at. Those steps were just as important because then I had to audition to get into a Bachelor of Fine Arts program. I wanted to go to school out of state, but Wright State gave me such a big scholarship, I could not pass it by. And hundreds of people don't know this about Wright State because it's in our own backyard. And I think we definitely take Wright State University for granted. But Wright State University has a really great professional acting program. And I went to school with people from all over the country, and only 3 of us were from the greater Dayton area. Out of a class of 18, they only select 18 people between 16 and 21. My year was 18 for the program. And for 4 years, you're in basically this conservatory that has always been in my backyard. And that's where I got my training from. And it was really hard. It was really hard to be the only Black woman in my class. And I didn't have any Black instructors, which was hard, but I learned acting techniques that I could later apply in the spaces that I felt I belonged, basically. Not to say I'm only going to do Black work, but I like to be in collaborative rooms, and Wright State definitely taught me how to use my voice for the type of work that I want to do. And then the next step was knowing I didn't want to go to grad school, which people do go get their MFAs in acting. I knew that if I wasn't going to Juilliard or NYU or Yale School of Drama, I didn't want to go. I don't want to go to a MFA acting program in Iowa. I just don't. I wanted to be the big one. And if it wasn't the big one, I needed to do an apprenticeship. So then I went to Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, where I learned on the job. So versus learning technique in a studio 5 days a week for 8 hours a day, because literally we would be in the studio from 8 to 5. I guess that's longer than 8 hours. And then so I would take like voice lessons, different acting classes, movement classes, and then I would be in rehearsal from 6 to 11 if I was in a production. So versus like learning in school, it was basically learning on the job. In my apprenticeship, they would put us in professional productions with professional actors from New York and Chicago. And I learned how a theater works. And I also learned how to be a teaching artist, which has been very helpful with making extra money here, teaching theater. I thought I was gonna go to grad school, but I probably won't. I think my parents are a little sad about that, but I'm not gonna go. I think I'm fine.
So you think you're doing all right so far. That's cool.
I think I'm fine.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you can teach art though, that's huge. How do you find those jobs? Like, are you posting those on Craigslist or, you know, like, Indeed? How does that come across?
I basically started my own job at the Brooklyn Children's Museum. So they have a summer camp every year, and I basically went to them and pitched it that they should have a theater class along with these other classes that they were doing for these children, second generation Americans, second generation immigrants, excuse me. And I was like, y'all need a theater class. So I made up that. But there are tons of theaters that you can apply to as a teaching artist, and you'll go into the mostly public schools and do workshops. But I started with the Brooklyn Children's Museum here. The Apollo also hires teaching artists. The National Black Theater does as well. You know, depends on what space you want to work in and the kids that you actually want to touch.
Man, that's huge. That's dope. That's dope. That's like firsthand creating your own opportunity, you know? That's huge. What was your biggest challenge in moving to New York?
The money. So New York is like not a kind place when it comes to trying to sign a lease. You have to make 40 times the rent to sign a lease without a co-signer here. And the average 2-bedroom is about $2,100 at this point. And that's uptown. That's not even like downtown. You know what I'm saying? That's up in Harlem and Washington Heights or in Bed-Stuy where I used to live, or Bushwick in Brooklyn.
Quick question, for perspective, because I've never been to New York, have family
there.
Oh,
you gotta come.
Really want to go.
You gotta come.
Yeah, I'll be there soon. How far is that commute from like Bed-Stuy, one of those places, to where you might work, like that's in New York?
So auditions tend to be in Midtown, and it would be from Bed-Stuy. It was like a 40-minute train ride, but now I live in Harlem and it's 15 minutes. So, because Harlem is on the island of Manhattan versus being in a different borough. Even though I do love Brooklyn and there are things about Brooklyn I miss, Harlem is more convenient and it's just as expensive. I'm literally paying the exact same. So just to put things in perspective, when I say how expensive New York is, my cousin Darian and he went to Chaminade.
Okay.
He got this job at Barclays, and he's like, do you want to go to New York? And I was like, why are you playing? Because like I was just praying to God that I want to go to New York. He was like, I need a roommate. And our rent was $2,300, and my rent still is $2,300 for a box. By the way, like for a box.
How many square feet?
Like
500.
700.
700. Okay.
No, my new apartment is 600. But I live in a brownstone. So it makes everything worth it, and it's quiet, and like I'm getting everything I want. You pay for location in New York. You pay for convenience. So but yeah, you got to make 40 times the rent. So even if you have a job, like you're gonna need a co-signer. So shout out to my parents. Your name will be off there soon. Don't worry.
Yeah. Most definitely. I had a job at apartments.com, and it was so
Oh,
crazy because we used to call leasing offices, but we would call like undercover agents, like as if we were prospective tenants. It's a legal game, but at the same time, our job was to not get caught because, it, yeah, anyways. Yeah, New York was one of the places that we would call, and calling there, it would be like, yo, what? Like, we would just be talking to each other in the call center, like, yo, are you seeing, like, how much this costs? Like,
it's
this is
crazy.
crazy.
It's ridiculous. I don't know why it's this way. I really don't know when this happened, but that's a really hard part. Second hard part about living in New York is how many people live here. To me, like growing up in the suburbs, it was a big deal to be around 8 million people
Right.
all the time. And then breaking into the industry is still like, I'm still learning things. Like, I had like meetings last week that just blew my head. Like, because I think people think getting an agent is like all you have to do to make it. And like, I got an agent within maybe 6 months of living here, which was great. But like, the question is, who is your agent? You know what I'm saying? And like, who do they know and what is their reach? So like, now I'm looking for more. I'll say that I'm looking to expand my team. I don't know
Right.
exactly what I'm gonna do. We ain't gonna tag him in this post, but I may need a manager. You know what I'm saying? I may need a larger team because I'm trying to be on Disney. I'm trying to be on HBO. And like, yeah, I have these auditions, but I've learned that, yeah, I audition, but who they're really looking at are the actors represented by certain agencies. We're all auditioning, but like, so a casting director basically put it to me like bluntly. He was just like, if I'm in the mood to discover someone, yeah, I'll go through these other tapes. If I'm in the mood to discover someone.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so I have to level up my representation and I have to expand my team. And is that going to cost me money? Yeah, that's going to be 20% out of my check. But hopefully that check is $100,000. So
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. That increases, and now you looking all right.
Mm-hmm.
I dig that. I dig that. What would be like 3 takeaways that you have for an aspiring film student, or someone who admires to go on Broadway one day? And these could be any like resources, websites, camps, workshops.
Oh, like literal things, like people at home that can
Like, skip this summer. Like, yo, you a junior going into your senior year of high school, or junior going to your senior year of college. Yeah.
Some things, get out your notepads, children. These are the things that I feel helped me. There are summer camps at the Schuster Center every summer. You can get a scholarship, but usually they run around $400 for the whole week, but you are being trained by professional actors in whatever production is at the Schuster at the time. So if it's Wicked the Musical or Hamilton or whatever, you will be taught by the professional actors at the Schuster Center. The Human Race Theater Company is also Dayton's only professional acting company. They hold classes there for young people and adults. I've worked with everybody on their staff, and then some of them are also teachers at Wright State University. Don't sleep on Wright State University. I will say that they have a high school program, and yes, they are very selective, just like any other BFA program in the country. But I think that they would love to have a Daytonian in each class if they could. So I wouldn't be shy about auditioning. I also say create your own content. research Issa Rae and how she started with YouTube and just writing her own story, because I'm even learning now, a few years in, that like the ball, I have more power than I think I have. The ball is actually in my court. Yes, I'm going to expand my representation, I say, on a business point, but artistically, I have more power than I think. And if I start with the work, if I do the work, then those other things will come. So let's create something. What is your voice? What are the voices that you connect to? Who are those voices? I have a list, a long list, and I'll share it with you guys if Sean connects, if you connect with anybody. When I reached out to some people when I was younger, like, what should I be reading? Who should I be reading? I have a list of Black, male, and female playwrights. And I can you hear me?
No, I can't. You went out for a hot second.
I said I think we should start with the playwrights, the Black playwrights, because we often forget that theater was before film, and like the people that we respect started in theater. Denzel Washington does a play on Broadway like every year. Angela Bassett goes back to it. Kerry Washington goes back to the actual work. You know what I'm saying? Film to me is easy. I think it's easier, right? You have to connect with that one person. You have to connect with that one person on the other side of the camera versus 700 people. You know what I'm saying? So I think the groundwork is even in our blood, like people of African descent, is to perform and be big and learn what that is before you make it small for a camera. So find your voice. Look to the people in the community who are doing what you want to do. There are plenty of people in Dayton, Ohio, who started with theater backgrounds, who have expanded, like Dana Graham. I went to school with Dana. She was my roommate in college. And she's a theater director, but she has started her own collective that has expanded. It's called Scripted in Black, where she gives Black people a chance to perform their poetry once a month. She did an arts crawl like 2 years ago in a warehouse where all these Black artists got to sell their work. There are people in Dayton who you can connect with. You could be like, okay, like, let's create something together. Let's put it out there. And that's where it starts. It starts with the work. And then your training. Please go to school. But yes.
Yeah, man, that's useful. That's super useful. Can't skip the work by no means. Well, it's been a super pleasure. I will take this time right now if we have any questions from anyone that is online. Any questions? And during that time, Renika, if you would like to just plug yourself during this time, as far as, like, I'm sure everybody knows, you know, your socials.
Oh, Khalid's on here. Monique's on here. Oh my God, my family's here. Hi, everybody. All these people know my plug, but this is for the recording. Yeah. My website is www.renikawilliams1.com. All my updates are on there. Upcoming, well, we're in a pandemic, so ain't no update right now other than this film that I'm hoping to do. Mo, you'll be so proud of me. I wrote a film. I meant to tell you, Monique Robinson is in this call, and she is a wonderful actress, producer.
Uh-oh, you moved yourself again. You moved right at wonderful actress.
She's a wonderful actress, producer, and director who has created several of her own short films, and she inspires me all the time. And honestly, like, she was probably one of the first people here that I met. It's crazy you're on this call. That I met that was like, you can do it yourself. Do it yourself. And then send it. You know what I'm saying? And then send it to casting directors, and then send it to agents. But do the work yourself. So yeah, Monique's on here. Who else on here? Family. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a chat from your favorite dental hygienist.
Hi.
Yeah. She
Hi,
said,
Miss
hi,
Amy.
Nika.
Hi.
Mom's invited. Shout out to moms. Thanks, moms, for inviting everyone. Being so
Yeah,
great.
so just a little backstory, everybody. Sean and I went to high school together. We did choir together. We wrote Black History programs together, which was a huge deal.
Yeah.
We did that for Trotwood. Hi.
Nah, people wouldn't, yeah, it's crazy. You know, people wouldn't, haters would say that's Photoshop, but you know, that really happened. That was huge. Like, shoot, we went to Chicago off a 5-minute script with the band. Like, what?
Yeah. And we also, like, the Black History program that we did at Trotwood were, like, for a regular public school that wasn't Cyrus was a really big deal. And, like, we did that.
Nah,
like,
that was epic. Like, we
were the leaders of that. Yeah.
Facts. I sent the link to Thomas, man, because you know he's been doing some great work out here, and hoping that you know we can recreate that for him. Because I mean it was fun, and it don't feel like it really. I guess when you love it, don't feel like work, you know. So like for us, it was just like, why not be creative? Why not try to make this the best thing possible? And it showed in the work, you know. Thankfully enough.
Yeah.
So.
We did do that whole scene in Chicago. You're right. We literally went to Chicago. We performed with the band. I wasn't even dancing that year, and we did. What song was it? They performed the Tamia song, "A Stranger in My House," and me and Sean had a whole scene that started before the song, and so the whole audience was like, "Are these people really disrupting this performance?" And I'm like, you acted crazy. And then the song started. Dun.
Man,
shout out to Jason Shelton.
Yes, yes, indeed. For having that vision, taking us along on that journey, that was huge.
It was.
That was my first time going to Chicago too. So you know,
really
big stuff for me. Boy, country travel boy, you know. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Seeing as that we have no questions, I think we are good to let everyone go. If anybody want to, of course, you know, use this time to say hi, mute yourself. Definitely here for that. If not, I'll probably be closing this thing in about 5 minutes. Expertise. I'm sure a lot of people are going to, hope a lot of people will, you know, take something from this, looking for film and not, you know, just in general, looking for inspiration during these times.
Yeah. But thank you for having me. I'm so proud of you and Free Hype. All the information, the free hype we get from Free Hype, listen, it's going to be huge. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be a mogul. So I'm excited to know you. And I can't wait to do it again. For
sure. This will be posted. We'll have these up by next week on freehype.net, and we'll just blast the link to you. We'll have our next one on Thursday, Creating Digital Experiences with Jordan Ivory. So same time, 7 p.m. Different Zoom link, you know, RSVP if you are interested. Thanks once again for everyone for joining. Thanks, Renika, for your gracious words, and we will see you guys later. See you next time.
Bye. Thank you.